Matthew 5, chapters 1 through 6, and I'm reading from the NIV. The Sermon on the Mount. Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You were the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do the people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven."
Thank you, Janet. Over the last week or so, I've had the opportunity to engage in several different social justice causes that just landed on my calendar, about sanctuary church movements, churches providing sanctuary for immigrants in danger of deportation, supporting and advocating for LGBT rights, and for the rights of women and children around the globe. And one benefit to all three of those was getting myself outside of my own circles and meeting people that are different from me and talking to people that have had different backgrounds than me. And another one is realizing that that's precisely where Jesus lives and breathes, is in those spaces of justice work. And so I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to be engaged in those ways and hope to do more in the future. And this chapter in the Gospel of Matthew relates to all of that in some ways. If you have time sometime, I suggest you read all of Matthew 5, not just these verses we're looking at today. This whole chapter is the opening of the Sermon on the Mount. And it's a clear indication of what kind of world Jesus is asking us to build. And if you want to take a bit of the new year, our last sermon in the sermon series of the new year, take a bit of time today to reflect on exactly why you're called to be a Christian in the first place, well, Matthew 5 is a good place to start. And Jesus offers some really clear instruction on that in this gospel. All of Matthew is an instruction book, actually. I remember one of my seminary professors at Iowa saying it was really like a Christian ed manual, a resource of what Jesus was teaching us to be and do and create as people in the world. In Matthew 5, you see clearly that Jesus is trying to encourage his followers to build a world that respects and values neighbors of all walks of life. One that encourages people to tell each other the truth and to uphold commitments to one another. One that encourages people to work for peaceful relationships as much as is humanly possible. One that suggests that we never hide who we are, but climb to the top of the highest hill and let the world see and hear about exactly who God is calling us to be. This week's scripture that you heard Janet read mostly focuses, as you heard, on the Beatitudes portion of the story. That blessed are the poor in spirit, the meek, the grieving, the persecuted. Some people have told me before they have trouble with this list because it seems to have insiders and outsiders into who receives God's blessing. And often, we in the privileged don't really fit into these categories that Jesus calls blessed. But that's precisely the point of Jesus' entire message. Over and over again, Jesus reminds us that it's not just about us, the privileged who gather in the temples each week. It's about everyone else too. Actually, the Beatitudes and some resistance that people have shared with me they have to it reminds me of the Black Lives Matter debate. A lot of people get upset with the notion that a movement would develop called Black Lives Matter, as if other lives don't. But that's not what the movement means at all. Just like the days of MLK Jr. and the civil rights era marches and sit-ins, this movement came out of people being marginalized and oppressed to the point they just couldn't take it anymore. Black Lives Matter doesn't mean other lives don't. Black Lives Matter means Black Lives Matter too. And you can't say all lives matter as a good substitute because that takes away the whole point. It hides the fact that if Black lives were really included in all, they wouldn't have needed a movement in the first place. And that's exactly what Jesus is getting at in the Beatitudes. Jesus isn't suggesting that someone who doesn't fit the boxes of meek or grieving or persecuted isn't blessed. He's just highlighting that the privileged aren't the only ones who matter. And that the poor and the meek need to be remembered out loud also. And protected and cared for. Blessed are the poor, the meek, the persecuted is another way of saying poor, meek, and persecuted lives matter. And also, blessed are the peacemakers. Sadly, peacemakers, as lovely as that sounds, often get reviled by the world at large too. Jesus wants to highlight the fact that peacemaking is often a business that gets you lumped in with the less desirable of the world. And he's saying, don't let that stop you. You will be blessed for working hard to achieve peace and justice, no matter how much persecution you endure to get there. Jesus tells all those gathered who feel discouraged to rejoice, for their reward is great in heaven. Jesus is relentless in his concern for the downtrodden as he shares with all who are gathered on that hillside to hear him deliver this amazing instructional sermon about what he sees as the way to build a more perfect society. He encourages those who may be sitting on the sidelines afraid of being seen for whatever reasons, because the world might not like who they are. And he says to them, you are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under a basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. This is such a wonderful encouragement for anyone who feels misunderstood, who feels unwelcomed, disrespected for who they are, for the poor, the meek, the gay, the lesbian, the transgender, the harassed, the migrant, the elderly, the young, the brown-skinned, the black-skinned, the person with a green card detained at the airport for hours for no reason. Anyone who has lived in fear of exposing too much of who they are. Jesus says, don't you hide. Stand up exactly as you are and shine. Live into all of who you are at all times. God's glory will shine through you when you do. Matthew 5 encourages us to look for a new view of God's blessings in the world. It's a view that is 180 degrees from any prosperity gospel you will ever hear. It is a view that elevates those the world chooses to trample or ignore or disrespect or turn away at the border. It is a view that offers those who feel discouraged a path forward to let their light shine. This scripture should speak to all of us in some way. We should hear warnings to us about the struggles we have in society today. But we should also hear encouragement about the ways that we already love one another, especially in this place. There's something special, I think, about this sermon by Jesus. He's helping us to shift our vision from including just those gathered on the hillside to include all neighbors everywhere, and all of ourselves, actually, all of who we are that we often hide from others. Being righteous and faithful is not like being successful in the ways of the world. In fact, you cannot apply worldly values to righteousness and faithfulness at all. And that's hard for us. We live in a society that applauds what we have earned. It's counterintuitive to imagine a world that applauds what we cannot earn. But that is what Jesus begins to teach from his very first lessons to the disciples and those gathered around him. And it's the only message he teaches throughout his ministry. A different way. A way that doesn't look to Caesar for what is right and what is wrong. A way that doesn't count the number of coins one can shove away in a safe place somewhere. A way that doesn't look for advancement or glory. Even in Jesus' time, this was a really radical idea. Because who doesn't think it's a good idea to store grain in the barn for the future? Who doesn't want to give their firstborn his due blessing? And Jesus isn't against those things either, of course. But he is very clearly against the notion that we should look out for ourselves first at the expense of everyone else. And he's against the idea that some people can be hidden under a basket or shoved away and not welcomed wholeheartedly into the beloved community. When Jesus says, "Blessed are thee," and proceeds to name those the world doesn't usually bless, Jesus is saying, look to see who needs a lift up, and then do everything in your power to provide the lift they need. Shine your own light of goodness in a way that allows someone else to have the courage and the freedom to shine their own light. Jesus asks us in this sermon very clearly to be that light, be that blessing, be that someone who brings every single person to the table together. Amen.